Hey guys, Caller here, bringing you Game 3 of Group B of the OSL Round of 16. And I know those of you who've listened to my last commentaries from my last set of games probably think I'm being inconsistent because I did say I wouldn't have enough time to commentate on future games, but honestly, this is a special exception because it's Memorial Day weekend coming up, and who could miss a game like this between Jangbi on the left and Nada on the right here? This should turn out to be an absolutely spectacular rematch between these two players. The last time they fought was a month ago in the Pro League, and Jangbi won this spectacular battle he had no right to win, basically through Psionic Storms alone. He just cast so many perfectly placed Psionic Storms on Nada's tanks that some group of like 20 tanks just melted in front of everyone's eyes. It was an absolutely amazing victory, and I expect nothing else but spectacular game here between these two players, and this game will be played on the map Andromeda. Jangbi's entering this game 1-0, having defeated Stork last week, and Nada's entering 0-1, having lost to Best in the first game of this group. And if you want to see a very good Terran versus Protoss game, you should watch that game also. Basically, Nada was a refugee Terran for most of the game after losing his main, just floating around with buildings and almost beating Best, actually. Absolutely incredible play. And I feel that Nada's greatest weaknesses, as some other commentators have pointed out, is in the middle and late game. Is in the early game, rather, if he's rushed very early on, or especially if he's tech rushed with a Reaver drop or a DT rush or something like that. He's fairly fairly weak against it for some reason. He's very good in the mid game and late game. So if it progresses to then, I would give Nada an advantage. If it doesn't, though, I would give Jangbi a bit of an advantage if it's decided early on. And by the way, this map is Andromeda. Jangbi, of course, spawning in white at the 1 o'clock, Nada spawning in purple at the 5 o'clock. Andromeda, for those of you who aren't tired of hearing me say it, is a very macro-heavy map. You have a mineral-only expansion inside your main, and a expansion with gas at a ramp below your main. And there is this sort of interesting location off of your main base that's that you can drop, that the enemy can drop at, basically, and it's separated from your main by two neutral buildings that can get destroyed. And often that's a smart place to drop something like DTs if you want to sneak into the back door of the main base. It looks like an early scout going out for Jangbi here after building the gateway, actually, so not such an early scout. It looks like he's going to scout Nada probably last. Nada looks like he's gonna open with fairly standard factory build here. He's probably gonna get his barracks next and a refinery at the same time. And a bunch of smiling fans here with signs. Looks like he is getting his refinery. Similar going up for Jangbi, so no super cheesy build by him. And looks like Nada will go for scouting now. And I have to say, though, I'm going to give a spoiler here about Nada's play based on the GSI results. So if you don't want to listen, you can stop, and I'll start up in about 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay, basically, I just watched a game between Nada and a player called Juni, or Jihoon, or something like that, in the GOM TV Classic, and Nada lost 2-0 against Juni, a Protoss player, mainly because Juni was so capable he basically walled off his expansions very well with pylon walls and prevented Nada from doing his expert vulture harasses in both games. And I believe that's one of Nada's strongest weapons in the mid game, is his excellent vulture harasses, just finding themselves in the way of in Nex and Nexuses and killing off probes. And if Nada can't do that kind of harass, I feel that his game is greatly weakened. So we'll see how good Jangbi is at protecting his expansions from that harassment. Anyway, it looks like Jangbi's moving out with his first Zealot here, and probably going to try to do a little bit of harassment at Nada's front, but I don't believe it will be very successful. Jangbi looking calm as ever. And looks like Jangbi won't get a scout into Nada's base here, with the probe at least, but looks like this Zealot's probably going to force his way in. And looks like he'll do just that. And Nada's factory still isn't up. It looks like he's getting more Marines out here. So Nada probably going to go for a FD build here, which is, of course, when you go for a couple of Marines and your first tank. And it looks like, actually, Jangbi's doing a great job of forcing Nada basically back Ooh, and Probe takes off one of the Marines there. So basically forcing Nada to micro like crazy with his Marines. I don't think he'll be worried greatly, though. It looks like the first Vulture is out. Basically, one possible reason that Jangbi could have done this is to prevent Nada from going Machine Shot first and getting the tank before the Vulture. Because now these Dragoons that Jangbi will push up will be able to do more attacks before the tank comes out for Nada, since Nada was forced to delay building his machine shop to build that first Vulture. And it looks like now 2 Dragoons are pushing towards Nada's base, but Nada might decide to go for a flank here. If he has some luck here, he might be able to sneak this Vulture into Jangbi's base. But meanwhile, it looks like a Dragoon with 1 kill, probably picking off the scouting SCV. And 2 Dragoons now pushing towards Nada's base, but Nada very cleverly might be able to sneak this Vulture in. Perhaps he suspected that Dragoons are coming, but looks like, unfortunately for him, Jangbi has blocked off his ramp. Meanwhile, it looks like Jangbi going to try to pick off these Marines at the front and having no success, and also Nada having no success in getting his Vulture in. That would have been a very big win for Nada if he managed to sneak it in. Looks like Nada will go for the fast expand at the safer location inside his base, which won't give him a second gas. But Terran is more able to take that base, or rather, Terran doesn't fall that far behind by taking that base instead of the one with gas, because Terran doesn't get gas usually until the sort of mid-late game or something like that. After the initial attacks are done, that's only really when Terran needs that second gas. But Protoss does need it much sooner. Actually, it looks like Jangbi also going for the middle only inside his base, so not really wanting to, I guess, go for the more vulnerable location. He might actually decide to go for a double expand here. That could be possible also, although a bit riskier, obviously. Nada getting the fairly early engineering bay also. And of course, for those of you who just watched my game between the Rock and Flash, you know, make some mental comparisons. I will be trying to, do some differentiations between the two players, between the two sets of players based on their games. And Nada so far has done pretty much what Flash did last game, though, going for siege mode first, and getting some turrets up around his base. Jangbi has differentiated from what Rock did. Rock went for dropships, went for shuttles, but didn't go for a Reaver drop, which is what Jangbi will be doing right now. He actually delayed his natural expansion for a while and went for this interesting Zealot drop inside of Nada's base to try to break down his front, and almost succeeded in doing it. Nada now going for his second expansion, and by the way, there was a probe dropped off at the island at the 12 o'clock position for Jangbi, so Jangbi probably going to pick up that island in secret there, not letting Nada spot it easily. I hope I don't start reversing their names now and calling Nada Flash. That would be just miserable for me as a commentator. It looks like now Jangbi moving south with a Reaver inside of his shuttle here. Sorry about this phone call. I am going to hang up on whoever is trying to call here, but Nada looks like he's fairly prepared here. I gotta say, Nada has a lot of turrets in all the right locations, so I don't think this harass is going to be that successful. And we'll see where Jangbi decides to drop this Reaver here. This will prove critical to the future course of this game here. Looks like he's trying to find a hole here. By now, Nada, of course, has spotted this Reaver. Don't think he has any Goliaths up, though, so he will have to defend with tanks and Vultures. Meanwhile, though, the fact that Nada has gone for the second expansion means that he just will have